And welcome back. Or if you are new, you're catching the tail end of the inner work. We're going to wrap up book club. I'm a little earlier than usual. I just want to knock it out and get it over with. So we are going to finish chapter 10 and I'm going to complete chapter 11 because it's not much to it at all. So almost done. We did it. Inner work. Um, all the previous chapters are posted on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The book is for sale on TikTok and Amazon. I get no residuals. I get no income from this whatsoever. I don't get anything from this other than you benefiting from having this information, from it piquing something in you to want to pick the book up, to dive deep and do that inner work. So without further ado, let's knock this out. It's been quite a while waiting on this to finish. Hi, Lisa. Hello. How are you? I'm about to finish. Yeah, we're going to finish it up. So let's complete the book, shall we? So we're going to finish chapter 10, and then I'm just going to blaze through 11 because 11 isn't much at all, and it has been so good. I'm very touched that it has touched you, and for some of you, you're even recommending the book to others, and other people are picking up the book and people are diving in deep and having these awakenings and these realizations and this journey back inside. When you stop looking outward, you start to take control over your emotional and mental balance. It's amazing what happens when we stop looking outward and stop trying to find a reason why out there, because it's all coming from in here. Okay, so let's continue. We're going to continue. We finished with self-motivation. So this was about the overachiever. This was about somebody doing too much, going too hard. I have no limits except for the ones I place on myself. Let me make sure. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So, indeed, that is correct. And there is my notification telling me I'm live. Yay. All right, here we go. So, we are going to finish the book. The previous chapters, as I said before, are posted. So, if you need to catch up, please go do so. If you would like to purchase the book, it is available. Okay. Acceptance at a glance. Acceptance. So, we're going to look at acceptance. So, we're in the womb, we're in the themes of healing. So we've moved to the themes of healing. So we're looking at acceptance. The archetype for this is the peacekeeper. The peacekeeper. The root program is I am enough. I don't need to know the why or how. Triggers that keep us stuck here. Aversion to understanding for fear of it leading to confrontation. How to access this theme. Have compassion for the human condition. What it's working on: self-validation instead of results-driven validation, compassion and forgiveness, accepting limits of humans, being present with what is, non-attachment to results. Media choices are forgiveness, compassion for the human condition, humanitarianism, peace and surrender, self-acceptance, and kindness. Physical manifestations: fully matured self-esteem, self-validated. Extreme reduction of stress, freedom from pressure to perform as a source of worth, radiance, and vitality. Approach to challenges: 100% effort and also 100% non attachment to results. Simultaneously, making effort while having zero attachment to the outcome. I love that. Hi, everybody. This is the Inner Work. This is the Inner Workbook. This is an invitation to true freedom and lasting happiness. If you are human and want to be happy, this book is for you, okay? If you want to be happy. It's got several trigger warnings. We are at the end of the book. I have the previous chapters posted. Feel free to go catch up, okay? Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Second Coming. Aiden, nice to see you. Black Angels, hello, hello, hello. Okay, so the thoughts and values. What I know is I don't know, and that's okay. I accept the limits of being a human. We are all doing the best we can with what we've inherited. All are worthy of forgiveness and compassion. The transcendence is to seek to understand in order to serve others even more. Affirmations to ascend. Understanding expands the ability to love others. Knowledge benefits and serves humanity. I use this thing. It's supposed to help me, but I think it messes me up worse. Okay, knowledge benefits and serves humanity. Understanding for the sake of benefiting others does not lead to confrontation. Knowledge or truth unites humanity. So, the overview of self motivation. While the theme of self motivation inspires us to prove our capabilities to ourselves and others, self acceptance, okay, so self acceptance settles into emotional security and contentment by appreciating ourselves and others regardless of achievements. Acceptance releases expectations and is emotionally secure even when things don't work out, despite all our effort and willingness. While ease is complacent in order to avoid confrontation, acceptance still puts forth the effort developed in the theme of self motivation, but does so without the attachment to results. It is therefore entirely accepting of itself and others despite outcomes. There comes a realization that we are only responsible for our own intentions, and the rest is not up to us due to the infinite variables involved in any given situation. Thus, nothing is perceived as lacking or unresolved within our self esteem. Acceptance takes accountability for its happiness and doesn't blame other people or circumstances for how it feels. We accept our power to choose how we view our reality and what we believe. We are therefore patient, forgiving, non confrontational, and kind. Taking emotional positions breeds confrontation and the polarities of me versus you, right versus wrong, positive versus negative, etc. Acceptance believes it is much more enjoyable to allow and accept life's diversity and trust in divinity's perfect love. Since we are all free to choose our own perceptions of our lives, other people and the world are viewed with respect and appreciation, and others' opinions are not taken personally. Acceptance sees the vast differences of human experiences and lets go of judgment and admits it has no idea why things are the way they are, but trusts and accepts that it is for a higher reason. Triggers that keep us stuck here. Acceptance is always seeking balance, harmony, and compassion, so it will have an aversion to any sort of confrontation, judgment, or pride. Its entire aim is always peace for itself and others to feel seen, heard, and validated. It is the innocent wish that everyone could just get along and be kind and respectful to each other. Hi, Grace. I'm well. How are you? Finishing the book. Let me check Instagram real quick. Perfect. Okay. Acceptance affirms all as it should be for reasons beyond my understanding. All I know is that I don't know, and that's okay. I accept myself and life as it is. I don't need to know why or how. I only have control over my own life and allow all others the same freedom. I accept my limitations as a human and release all judgments. We are all doing the best we can with what we know. I forgive myself and others. Harmony is most important. Can't we just be at peace with each other and get along? There's no need for confrontation. We can't possibly understand something so complex. We are so limited in our understanding. We don't need to know the reason. Trying to figure it all out will only lead to judgment. I don't want to cause an argument. I prefer peace over being right. The transcendence. Acceptance will have a subtle aversion to trying to understand the why or how. This comes from the belief that needing to understand is synonymous with judgment or pride and will lead to confrontation. especially in the form of using knowledge as a form of power over others. This aversion to seeking understanding is blocking it from an even grander expression of the joy and love of life. To transcend acceptance requires us to see that it is possible to enjoy contemplating over the mysteries of life and accumulating knowledge without judgment and pride, but instead curiosity, humility, and gratitude. If we take on the perspective of a true scientist, it is possible to explore the nature of things without getting drawn into the ego traps of being opinionated, confrontational, or power seeking. Knowledge does not have to lead to attachment and pride if we relinquish credit seeking. When we enjoy learning about the why and the how of life, it brings forth interest in complex data retention, science, medicine, invention, discovery, and understanding of human consciousness. While acceptance may create peace and harmony, moving into reason and logic creates further advancement and evolution of innovation for the betterment of all. Thus, to explore the next stage of evolution requires acceptance to reinvest energy into the exploration of what else is possible and begin to tap into our unique genius waiting to be manifested into the world. I'm glad I'm an avid reader. And so these words are, when I'm tired, I struggle. Okay. So the new narrative is knowledge leads to greater gratitude and appreciation. I love learning new things. I tap into my genius that is given to me. I grow as I learn. Life becomes even more meaningful as I learn how it all works. Knowledge leads to awe. Inspired knowledge uplifts humanity. I seek to understand without judgment. Understanding brings wisdom and peace. With wisdom, I can be of greater service to myself and others. Understanding is to care and heal. I seek to understand myself and others with compassion. I am rational. I make wise choices with reason and logic. Rationality benefits myself and others. Reason and logic can transform the world through inspired invention and discovery. True knowledge can cure the suffering of the world. Understanding can bring greater peace to humanity. So we're going to look at understanding at a glance. So the archetype for this is the scientist. Thank you, scientist. For those of you who like the movie Half Baked. Hi, Sarah. How are you? Hope you're well too. So the root program is to understand and verify. Triggers that keep us stuck here: objectivity and knowledge, aversion to subjectivity. Primary emotion is composed, what it's working on, understanding the why and how of things, letting go of bias and opinion to discover the truth of a matter, seeking knowledge to find solutions for suffering, innovation and evolution. How to access this theme: seek to understand the truth without bias or opinion. So the media choices are documentaries, cerebral or psychological, thought-provoking, latest research, scientific. I love all that stuff. I am a Sapio myself, and I have a lot of air in my chart and a lot of Virgo in my chart. So knowledge to me is, as y'all can probably tell, I freaking love it. Ooh. It feels empowering. So here's the physical manifestations: heightened IQ. Peak brain performance, mastery of concentration, health optimization due to knowledge. Health optimization, that's right in line with the Virgo stuff, right? So approach to challenges: methodical, linear, planned research, and non-emotional. Thoughts and values. Knowledge is power. I say that all the time. Science has all the answers. Is it verifiable? Objective data. Emotions are irrational. Transcendence. Believe and have faith. Trust in the power of love. Open to the subjective. Mystery of life. Affirmations to ascend. Objectivity is unlimited, only experienced subjectively. excuse me, objectivity is ultimately only experienced subjectively. Wow. Subjectivity is the source of all conscious experience. Consciousness precedes logic. Faith and power of belief can triumph logic. Love is the wisest approach to life. Yes, love cures all. Overview. Through taking emotional accountability over our lives, the mind feels secure enough to now become interested in understanding how and why things are the way they are. In the theme of understanding, there is a transcendence of the limiting themes of emotionalism and confirmation bias that block rational thinking and logical deduction beyond emotion and opinion. Thus, what is measurable, provable, and verifiable is of most interest, not just what the emotional biased ego assumes or wishes was reality. There evolves an attraction to anything developing the mind, such as research, academic study, science, medicine, and the accumulation of knowledge. It is the fascination with learning. I put a big heart around fascination with learning. Objective analysis, causality, deduction, and the ability to process abstract concepts. The mind becomes enamored with itself and its ability to think, which also opens to the possibility to be tempted back into pride. Thus, a downside or greater understanding is getting so preoccupied with the linear details of life, taking everything literally, that it misses the point altogether, like getting lost over analyzing the individual trees and missing the whole beauty of the forest. Balance of wisdom and marvel is what I wrote here. Balance of wisdom and marvel. I hand wrote that in. Marveling at the world while still taking the time to understand it, but not letting it overconsume you to where nothing is getting done because you're sit in thought, overthinking. Yes. We can note that all the wounded themes of consciousness are associated with the human animal emotions: rejection and judgment of being ostracized by the pack, overwhelm of being abandoned to survive alone, grief over the loss of security, fight or flight from fear or death, desire to mate and survive, aggression and violence of competition, the pride of being the one who survives best and has the most power. Power. From the perspective of understanding, these themes of emotional insecurity are seen as primitive inheritance of the reptilian brain within the human species, because reason and logic view the animal emotions as annoyance to rationality. Our sense of self officially moves from the attachment to the body and its emotions to the mind as the thinker of thoughts. Everything from existence, the universe, the details of the world, societal governance, technology, to how the body and mind work all comes into question. Who am I? Where did it come from? How does this all work? How did I get here? This is not my beautiful house. Y'all know that song. How did I get here? Same as it ever was, remember? Okay. How does the body work? Why is the world the way it is? Why do I think what I think? Why do I do what I do? Why do I suffer? What is the most optimal way to experience life? What is the wisest thing to do here? It is worth noting that reason and logic used with ulterior ego motives stemming from the wounded theme of consciousness skews it into the destructive side. True understanding is a gift of enlightened thought that stems purely from divinity. It can be either incredibly uplifting to society or entirely destructive, depending on how it is used. For example, reason and logic can be used to create nuclear weapons or cures for diseases and poverty. When used for the betterment of humanity, it is the highest form of human evolution within the physical plane, manifesting as the scientist, the doctor, the teacher, the statesman, the inventive genius, etc. Devoid of pride and ego, all true genius is accompanied by humility and is admitted to not be personal, as all inventive or inspired breakthroughs are gifts from divinity and come through us, not from us. Genuine understanding is the realization of divine inspiration that manifests through the human mind in order to be used for the benefit of all life. Because of its double-edged sword nature, it must be used with the intention of relieving suffering and benefiting ourselves, humanity, other life forms, and the planet. Thus, the theme of understandings finds solutions to humanity's woes. It invents and to improve our lives, such as sewage systems and city planning, medicine and science, or technology, to create convenience, such as cars, planes, and computers. It creates systems of governing and education and strives to help others in whichever field it manifests. Okay, here we go. Triggers that keep us stuck here. While overall this is the theme of scientific geniuses, the theme of understanding's downside is the attachment to the mind and its thoughts as mine, subsequently leading to the ego's vanity of I know. The deduction of the intellect is I think, therefore I am, whereas the realization of the spirit is I am. Thus, intellectual pride and attachment to thinking as the source of survival resurface as the primary barrier to further evolution into the liberating themes of spiritual reality. This theme will therefore be triggered and held back by a preoccupation with details, facts, objectivity, causality, and the need for verifiable proof. Unable to believe or have faith in something beyond itself that it can't objectively measure. Accompanying thoughts of the theme of understanding will be things like I know, I think, knowledge is power, education is essential, can you prove it, is it verifiable, what is the evidence, I know this based on my studies and results, I don't believe that. Faith is only wishful thinking, it can't be measured, and so it is not verifiable. I am skeptical if it can't be proven. How does this work? Why is it this way? Let's test it. Show me the data. What are the facts? Do they have a degree? I only trust experts. What are their credentials? Is it peer reviewed? Love and companionship are rational societal utility. Don't be emotional. Intuition can be trusted. Emotions are irrational. Be rational. Be logical. What's the most logical choice? It has to make sense. So the transcendence from this, the mind cannot transcend reason and logic because the mind is too attached to objective verification and therefore cannot comprehend subjective spiritual reality. The transcendence of this theme only comes from looking beyond the linear mind for greater truth. Spiritual realization is not something objectively proven. It can only be experienced as an internal envision. So spiritual realization is not something objectively proven. It can only be experienced as internal, invisible shift in conscious awareness. Another major hindrance to transcendence is the mind's vanity and pride. The mind attached to understanding takes all the credit for its thoughts and believes itself and believes itself to be the source of existence. Due to this, the mind cannot comprehend trusting something beyond itself for survival. Thus, it cannot see all that life is a continuous gift and that its thoughts have never actually been coming from a me. Every moment of life is a gift. All of our thoughts and inspirations are gifts. From who or what is the question we must ponder. The transition can only be invented and surrendered to through the spiritual will. Consciousness as the spiritual source of existence thus reveals itself as that which is totally obvious but has simply been overlooked because it is radically subjective. Up until this point, our resilience on the dualistic perceptions of reason and logic have blocked us from accepting how unexplainable our existence is to begin with. We are so busy looking out there, we forgot that we actually exist in here. As the theme of understanding continues to explore this newfound internal reality, we discover consciousness is actually influencing all experience of objectivity. The external reality we experience is determined by our inner reality. The themes of consciousness entirely influence our perceptions of the physical world. Each theme is only able to perceive that which is within its peridium of possibility. Objectivity is therefore in the eyes of the beholder. Rationality concludes that this is. Sorry, I'm tired of my. So close to that thing going off for a while. So close. Gosh darn forsaken heat going away. Okay. All right. Rationality concludes that this ability to choose perception of our physical reality is absolutely fundamental to what determines our quality of life. Thus, we weave a narrative about ourselves. Divinity and the world from the perspectives of a wounded theme will bring the consequence of those types of thoughts and feelings. And likewise, to endorse a higher liberating theme of perspective in our lives, we enjoy the consequence of those types of thoughts and feelings as well. The question then becomes, what is the most logical, wise perspective, which inevitably leads us to love? Welcome. The new narrative. As thoughts are impersonal, I am not my thoughts. Okay, so all thoughts are impersonal. I am not my thoughts. I am that which is observing my thoughts. My life is a gift from something beyond my understanding. All the answers are given to me. My heart knows more than my mind. I believe and have faith. I believe in the goodness of life. Just because I can't comprehend it doesn't mean it isn't real. There is so much more than meets the eye. There are entire spiritual realities beyond my limited perception. I rely on the belief and faith to guide me. Some things can't be explained. Love is the most logical choice. Consciousness is all there is. I surrender to something higher. I open myself up to the great mystery of creation. Divinity is the source of my existence. I trust that I'm always being guided. Reality is subjective. There is unlimited possibility and potential. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Chapter 10 done. Book club. Reading the inner work. Okay. So here's the final chapter, y'all. Final chapter, chapter 11. If you need to catch up, all the previous chapters are already posted. Hasn't this been like a guidebook to healing? And it is not just when you read it, you're done and it is absorbed and you're good to go, right? It's not like when you finish the book, they hand you a certificate saying you're healed. This is constant applied work. This is constant. The world is constantly giving us reasons to apply this information. And we will have new things that will come up that will trigger old reactions if we can't catch it in time. So it's been interesting to catch myself and be different, to think different, to do different, to act different. Hi, Joy. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay, so true freedom and lasting happiness, the final chapter. So Corey ten Boom says, faith sees the invincible. Faith sees the invisible, believes the unbelievable, and receives the impossible. I love that. Faith sees the invisible, believes the unbelievable, and receives the impossible. Relying on faith is either a stopping point in our evolution of consciousness, or through the invitation of our spiritual will, the soul steps forward as the new source of grander truth and our sense of identity. This consequently unlocks an entire level of existence never before considered. While the theme of understanding represents the most evolved theme of consciousness within physical reality, it is ultimately still missing out on access to the true freedom and lasting happiness which comes from acknowledging a spiritual reality. Without a spiritual context of reality, the logical mind is limited and cannot enjoy the bliss of trusting in a divinity beyond itself. Thus, it will always be haunted by the ultimate fear of death and the unknown of going beyond the physical. All the themes of consciousness previous to a spiritual reality could be characterized as seeing the body and mind as the source of consciousness existence, whereas the theme past this point view consciousness as the source of our experiences of the body and mind. Consciousness is beyond time and space and who we really are, our true self, while the human body and mind are passing expressions within it. The perceived universe is more so being projected from within us rather than something we are separate from. The universe we perceive only exists within our own consciousness and is relative to our theme of consciousness. We are all perceiving different layers or dimensions of reality. Excuse me. Forgot my water. Whew, okay. Ow. Pretty good. I got that far. Whew. Okay. Trying to find where I left off. Sorry. The perceived universe is more so being projected from within us rather than something we are separate from. The universe we perceive only exists with our own consciousness is relative to our theme of consciousness. We're all perceiving, okay. From a grander, non-dualistic perspective, even the notions of inner and outer, this and that, or subject and object begin to merge and eventually are realized to all be one and the same. Such a realization is beyond reason and leads into the realms of the mystical and nonlinear. As much as it resists to the unexplainable power or belief, the mind is forced to surrender to the fact that belief and faith actually dictate our experience of reality. This power of belief is most obviously demonstrated through the placebo effect and its defiance of reason and logic. The placebo effect is the phenomenon of giving a patient something that has no actual medicinal value, but the patient's faith and belief in its healing abilities create an actual healing effect psychologically. Logically speaking, this should be impossible and yet happens frequently enough that it has to be taken into consideration whenever introducing a new medicinal innovation or treatment. This is just one of the countless examples of the miraculous and mysterious power of belief and further demonstrates that belief and faith trump reason and logic by methods that can't be explained or measured. At this incredible tipping point, consciousness, our unexplainable spiritual essence, has officially been accepted as our identity, and we loosen our attachment to the external world. It is at this point in our journey we transition out of self-mastery and into the mystery. The realization of our spiritual nature brings with it exquisite, unlimited access to love and peace that is able to transcend physical circumstances. While the human ego lives in constant existential insecurity because of the inevitability of physical death, the spirit lives in the realms of true freedom and lasting happiness because it is internal and therefore its existence is already guaranteed. So isn't that fascinating? So I have to read this again. While the human ego lives in a constant existential, while the human ego lives in constant existential insecurity because of the inevitability of physical death, the spirit lives in the realms of true freedom and lasting happiness because it is internal, and therefore its existence is already guaranteed. So the ego mind, the 3D world, this attaches us to a limited existence, a finality. Like your life is just, you're done at 60, 70, 80, which is not true. It's just not true. We are eternal. Themes of enlightenment as 5D reality, self as spirit, ecstasy, unity mentality. So now the book just has a bunch of charts and such that you can look at. Should you have the book, you would be filling this in to see where you stand, to see where your kind of your pace is at. Okay. All right. So love and inner peace at a glance. The archetype is the saint. Root program, I am the source of love, peace, and happiness. Triggers that keep us stuck here: conditional love and attachment to preferences. Primary emotion is gratitude and serenity. How to access this theme: ask, how can my thoughts and actions benefit myself and others the most? What it's working on: loving self and others, being peaceful within and uplifting others, creating the most loving world, connecting with divinity as ultimate source of love. Media choices: uplifting, inspiring, devotional, loving and peaceful, spiritual, God as love. Physical manifestations: ultimate wellness and vitality, radiance and inspiration, spontaneous healing. Approaches to challenges: inspired, trusting prayer, go within, listen and look for signs, intuitive. Thoughts and values: love is the path to all fulfillment and happiness. Love can do the miraculous. Divine love is the source of all existence. Life is a gift of ultimate love. Love is the source of all inspiration and goodness in the world. Transcendence: unconditional love through the release of attachment to preferences. Full surrender to trust in divine love. Affirmations to ascend: unconditional love allows for free will. From an internal perspective, everything is leading to greater love eventually. My preferences are just one expression of love. Love also comes in disguise in the form of growth and wisdom learned through hardships. Love that. Okay. Unconditional love allows for free will, right? Do as you will. Choice is yours, right? We have an understanding of what we will accept and what we won't accept for our personal boundaries, but to be divine, to be elevated in that state of love and unconditional acceptance is to just know that all is exactly as it should be when it is. Okay. I apologize. Hang on. Drinking water on an empty stomach is always vocal. Yeah, I apologize. Shut up, stomach. You're scaring us. Jeez. All right, overview. With the dawning of spiritual awakening emerges the opportunity to access love and peace from eternal spring within. With the dawning of spiritual awakening emerges the opportunity to access love and peace from the eternal spring within. Inner peace is experienced as the natural consequence of finally remembering the truth of our spiritual nature and finding gratitude beyond circumstances. Therefore, if all subjective states are an inner choice of perspective, it would only make sense to choose to see our existence from a perspective that evokes happiness, gratitude, love, and fulfillment. As we align with our highest version of lovingness, it only benefits ourselves and others, therefore only perpetuating itself. It is worth noting that what the world considers love is typically referring to infatuation, possessiveness, pride, or desirous attachment. True love is embodied in a lifestyle approach. As we move into the frequency of love, we become aware of the love and goodness that is all around us. We just didn't recognize it before. True love doesn't need a reason to love, it just loves because that is its nature. In the theme of love and inner peace, we start to finally experience the highest potentials of human reality. Everything can be perceived with love if we stretch ourselves beyond the linear mind's parameters. It's as if we are seeing the world for the first time, and in many ways, we are. Colors appear more vibrant. We notice the dewy leaves glistening in the sunlight as if revealing a glorious painting. Bumblebees are no longer a nuisance, but instead become messengers, giving us their blessing. We notice recurring numbers, sensing that they carry a meaning, and license plates stand out, giving us signs. Nothing is just mundane or ordinary anymore. The trees are now dancing for us. The flowers are blooming just to show us how beautiful they are. Everything seems to be in synchronistic harmony. Everywhere we look, we see the magic of divine love, and life is forever transformed into heaven on earth through the newly discovered lens of love. The irony is the world didn't change. We did. In the frequency of love, everything has meaning and purpose and is communicating love, loving guidance to us, including our current situation and circumstances. Every challenge or life situation becomes an opportunity for further spiritual awakening. Every perceived setback becomes a redirection by divinity for our growth. There are no more accidents or coincidences. Everything becomes a part of the cosmic dialogue between the Creator and us. Love perceives a loving universe, and everything can be viewed with a positive angle. Even when the meaning or purpose of an event in our lives is yet to be understood, we easily give it over to hope and faith, trusting that it will be revealed to us in due time. Because consciousness is vibrating in the frequency of love, it sees love everywhere it looks. As mentioned before, even debt is not an enemy of love. Love thinks, "Thank you, God, for providing me a way to get ahead and for providing me the way to pay this back tenfold. My future must be really bright." If it has perceived completion in work or confrontations in the world, it thinks, "Thank you, God, for providing me the opportunity to surrender, forgive, and exercise my faith in goodness." All is as it should be. What will be, will be. If this opportunity wasn't meant for me, it only means something even better is coming. From the perspective of love, we realize that all beings are an embodiment of a theme of consciousness, and therefore, what others bring forth only demonstrates their current nature, not our own. Hence the teaching, "By their fruits you shall know them." If all experience of life is based on an internal narrative, then that means that nothing is intrinsically objective or personally offensive in life. For example, even when targeted by anger, hate, or slander, it's only a projection of another's internal reality. All suffering is self created through limiting root programs. This is why great spiritual teachers taught, "Pray for your enemies because they bring themselves down by their own hand." These rationalizations allow us to not take the suffering of the world personally, which would just make us fall back into limiting ourselves. Instead, we have immense empathy, compassion, and patience for the shadow side of humanity. Love respects everyone's own unique journey through the darkness. To any perceived adversary, love says, "Thank you for the opportunity to forgive and learn about myself. How can I help out? How can I help you out of your suffering? I see you. I understand you are hurting. I love you." Thus, compassion towards all life becomes the natural response in this theme. There is nothing love can't find gratitude for. Life is a gift, and most of it is out of our control. What we do seem to have control over, though, is our perspective of this gift of life. Therefore, the most loving perspective to take is that all is exactly as it should be, is unfolding for the greatest good, and that there is no need to judge or change anything. All is perfect as it is, without accident, mistake, or coincidence. There is perfect justice, balance, and harmony that we may not be able to see with our limited human perspective, but we must trust in the perfect consequence of creation that may stem vastly beyond this lifetime. Through believing and having faith in such perspectives, we notice dramatic increases in our overall levels of internal freedom, joy, and inner peace. Okay, Instagram's quiet. All of love's existence is beautiful, hopeful, and based in radical faith. Doubt, worry, fear, anger, expectations, regret, pride, and greed are all things of the past because they are no longer attractive as a viable option. In love, there is enough to go around. Love isn't concerned with what it can get, but what it can give. In this state of consciousness, there is no need, and there is no longer fear of lack, and love wants to show graciousness and abundance to anyone suffering from this fear, in hopes that they too will come to realize the generosity of the universe. Love moves beyond the physical realm and perceives energy and essence through intuition. Before the transition into spiritual reality, we might focus on linear details such as words, actions, facial expressions, voice inflection and tone, body language, or even someone's appearance when interacting. But when love interacts with another being, it primarily is experiencing their subjective energy or essence, theme of consciousness. It is the difference between seeing versus intuitive knowing. Triggers that keep us stuck here. In the early onset of this theme, we must be aware of preferences, creating subconscious hierarchy around the things we find beautiful and divine. Conditional love is a trigger for this theme, as it only experiences love in certain things, but not necessarily all things yet. This limitation is something to process and release in order to realize true freedom and lasting happiness beyond preference. The inner work. We're wrapping it up, actually. I've got it all posted, previous videos. Thanks for being here. It's good to see you. Someone in love will commonly think things like, what a glorious life. Life is such an amazing gift. How beautiful blank is. Thank you, Creator, for all of my countless blessings. I don't know why this is happening, but one day it'll all make sense. There is a higher reason for everything, even if it's beyond my understanding right now. I don't know why this didn't work out for me, but it must be guiding me to something even better. I have faith. I believe in the goodness of life. I have compassion and love for others. I choose to see the good in everyone. I have hope. I choose to surround myself with positive people and energy. They know not what they do. I distance myself from negativity. I have healthy boundaries. I love my life. I am at peace with whatever happens. Everything is working out for my benefit. How can I help you? What joy can I contribute to this situation? Transcendence. To go from conditional to unconditional love, we have to expand our awareness of love to even include all that we would typically deem unlovable, tragic, or ugly in the world. This final step into true freedom and lasting happiness moves beyond preferences altogether. Instead, we explore innocence of consciousness, which includes everything in existence. Unconditional love sees that our preferences are not better than our not preferences. All things are equally divine for simply existing and are a reflection of the infinite possibilities of creation. Unconditional love is only realized by letting go of the mind's attachments to hierarchies of dualities, this versus that, lovable versus unlovable, happiness versus suffering, positive versus negative, life versus death, best versus worst. Attachment to preferences will always place conditions on love and keep it limited due to the perception of a hierarchy between two opposing polarities. So long as something could be better than this, the ego will always be able to create suffering through the resistance to what is, free of all preference or opinion. In order to be free from the bondage of dualities, we have to see that it is all one, non duality. Everything in existence is all divinity. It is all the same one. The ego just creates the illusions of separation because of its preferences and attachments. Thus, it is not that we develop the ability to love the unlovable. We simply let go of the notion of unlovability in the first place. All labels are fallacious and come from an arbitrary ego perspective. Beyond the labeling of preference, all is actually perfect as is. Nothing to say ineffable. In a unified, interconnected universe of innate consequence, all is exactly how it is supposed to be without possible accident, mistake, or error. To resist otherwise is to fight the entire universe it is, being what it is. The limited ego resists love and focuses on all of the proof for how unloved it is, whereas spirit focuses on all the proof for how loved it is. Both perspectives will technically feel right and justified, but the experience and consequence of each will be drastically different. All humanity could be in utter bliss of existence, and in an instant we all accepted this effortless choice. For it is absolute bliss to live knowing all is perfectly aligned by divine love and not a single hair is out of place. All we must do is surrender resistance and accept it. A single hair out of place. Everyone, this way be going. Okay. Everyone has access to divine unconditional love. Nothing is being withheld. Nothing. True freedom and lasting happiness is the state of finally returning home to utter security, bliss, joy, love, peace, and gratitude, and ineffable awe. Whatever it took to realize the truth of divine unconditional love is seen as irrelevant and worth the cost. For if that's what it took to bring us to this moment now, then it was perfect and exactly what our consciousness needed to awaken. All of us are on our perfect journey of remembering just how loved we are by divinity. To exist is to already be utterly loved beyond comprehension, yet we seem to enjoy the hero's journey through the relativity of not knowing. Thus, we explore all that is of our not self, only to return to what has always been there. We just didn't see it yet. Unconditional love compassionately understands that some souls need to wander into dark confusions of shame and guilt in order to prove that they are still infinitely loved, while others accept it more readily and avoid the temptations of the ego's defiance of divinity. Either way, all is perfect and only revealing what is internally available to all. However, divine love cannot force itself and will only come when invited. Hence, this writing is an invitation to true freedom and lasting happiness. The new narrative: all is love, all is divine, all is perfect, all is self. All is equally lovable just for existing. Divinity is in everything and everyone. Preferences are only coming from the ego. Nothing is better or worse. There is only internal existence. There is no such thing as death. The void is an illusion and not an actual reality. Consciousness is all there is. All experience is within my consciousness, and my consciousness is pure love. Consciousness is free to choose to accept love or to reject it. I can choose to accept an eternal love. True freedom and lasting happiness. Archetype is the mystic. Root program, all is love, all is divine, all is perfect. Primary emotion, transcendence and bliss. What if everything is working out in the absolute best way it possibly could for you right now? What if this is your dream life? What if divine love is talking to you right now, reminding you to accept how loved you are? What if life is constantly guiding you? What if you could enjoy life full of utter bliss and fulfillment right now? As we explore the theme of love and inner peace, it naturally becomes unconditional by its very nature. As we constantly invite love and inner peace through disciplining our spiritual will, we gradually experience them in all things, eventually perpetuating their continuance to the point of utter bliss. As we devote ourselves to actualizing true freedom and lasting happiness, every hidden attachment to the past wounds that we may still struggle with arises to be healed and transcended through our spiritual devotion to choose differently. Thus, the acceptance of true freedom and lasting happiness requires accountability to face our hidden attachments and wounds, seeing our ego's inheritance with the impartiality of ease, self motivation, to exercise discipline to see our inner work through acceptance that all is as it should be for reasons unknown to us, understanding to see love as the wisest, most enjoyable approach to life. And as we embody love and inner peace, it evolves into unconditional true freedom and lasting happiness. This emergence of true freedom and lasting happiness is the dawning of self realization, the ecstatic bliss that all great teachers have been pointing humanity to. However, the awakening of our true self is not about creating another alter spiritual ego. The ego does not become enlightened. The ego does not become the true self. Instead, the true self is revealed as we shed attachment to the ego by turning away from its opinions and limitations of reality. We discover the self within others is revealed to be the same self within us, and all existence shines forth as a glorious, unexplainable creation of the divine I. When consciousness expands to this level of awareness, we see our lives in a continuous expression of divinity. Our sense of personal will eventually dissolve into the divine will, and it is as if we are watching a movie from the eyes of an avatar body, the divine reality. The body just goes around its business, just the body just goes about its business according to its destiny and plays the role it's supposed to play within the grand scheme of things. The words just come out, inspirations arise when necessary, the body runs itself, and life flows effortlessly, all without attachment to a sense of me doing anything. We exist in the eternal now, and the state of presence becomes our very waking moment. All of life is a glorious, ineffable creation of the Most High. All of existence is all of existence is rich with gratitude, appreciation, and silent awe that may or may not be expressed. At first, the radiance of awaking to such a blissful state is overwhelming. Tears of joy may be common, but as the state ripens, it eventually settles into an inner awareness that transcends expression and is an inner tranquility of internal satisfaction. Eternal satisfaction. Wow. The highs and lows, the suffering and the joy, the pain and the pleasure, all of it is seen as a divine experience of relativity. Therefore, creating the joy of a hero's journey, giving meaning, purpose, and a sense of wondrous exploration to human life. True freedom and lasting happiness comes from awakening to the realization that it is not the perception of the opposites that is the source of our suffering. It is our attachment to them being real that is causing us to fall from Eden. From a higher perspective, it is actually all the same self. There are no actual opposites or dualities that contend with each other, only the perception of such that the human mind created. For example, there is only divine love or rejection of it, which the mind has labeled as evil. But this label process of the mind has created the illusion But this labeling process of the mind has created the illusion that something actually separate from divine love, which is only a mental projection. There is only divinity or rejection of divinity. There is nothing actually separate from divinity. Likewise, there is only true freedom and lasting happiness or rejection of it. Suffering does not exist in and of itself. Human suffering is the consequence of adopting a limited perspective of our circumstances and becoming attached and identified with them. Finally, there is only eternal existence or denial and rejection of it. Death or non existence is only an imagination of the mind, not an actual reality. To exist is to exist always. Notice in all these examples, there is only one variable that we either accept or reject. And so it is with the divine mystery, one self, that is only being perceived as separate out of choice. All perceptions of duality and perceived opposites are just arbitrary points of spectrum of awareness that humanity accidentally mistook as actual realities. Therefore, as we awaken to true freedom and lasting happiness, we finally can affirm that there is only freedom and happiness, only love and divinity, only eternal existence. All perceptions otherwise are just layers of resistance to the truth, with a capital T, truth. Unconditional love is non duality. Unconditional love and non duality is the consciousness of true freedom and lasting happiness. It is completely liberated from attachment to the wounded themes of consciousness, and its experience of life is true heaven within, the Garden of Eden restored. Everything is lovable, and everything is seen as divinely perfect just for existing. All existence is permeating with silent bliss. All happiness, love, and fulfillment we have been searching for our entire life is eternally realized. There can be no more resistance. Nothing can ever be wrong or out of place. All is forgiven, all is accepted, all is finally understood as an extension of the same divine self. We see that we are all that is. We see that we are one with all that is. I and the Father are one. So that's from the Holy Bible, John 10, chapter 10, verse 30. As unconditional love becomes a permanent state of being, we embody a saintly energy and are constantly emulating loving frequencies of peace and harmony to all of life, regardless if it seems to be the most tragic or the most blessed. Our circumstances may not even change at this point. We could have the same bills, same jobs, same relationships, but yet our view of them will be forever transformed as the bliss of our life is realized to be completely internal. Yet it is worth noting that as our internal world shifts, our external world usually changes with it. The difference now, however, is that changing the external circumstances won't be the goal or focus anymore. True freedom and lasting happiness is the ultimate state of grace, for all of life is loved, appreciated, and admired without measure or possible restraint. All humanity is capable of this realization. In fact, it is our inevitable destiny. All humanity is capable of this realization. It is our inevitable destiny. It's our purpose. All things of love, joy, and peace and freedom are based in the truth of the divine. All things based in negativity, control, or force are limiting, which is to say, based in ego delusions and to be avoided because they can bring unpleasant consequences. Intuition and inner honesty are significant tools to be used to align us with our highest life purpose and keep us safe. Thus, the caveat that needs to be known at the onset of this phase is that while everything may appear lovable to us, this does not mean that everyone else is in the same state. There still is a need for spiritual discernment of the themes of consciousness in order to make sure that the innocent bliss of this state is not taken advantage of due to naivety. For example, you can love and appreciate a wild scorpion, but also respect that it is safe to keep your distance. This is the difference between naive and innocence and wise innocence. This is the difference between naive innocence and wise innocence, the difference between the child and the sage. Follow the heart always, and there can be no possible error. Our intuition does not lie. However, the mind can be misled. All guidance will be revealed if we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Have faith, trust the divinity sustains your existence, and know that all will be provided. You are always being guided to exactly where you're supposed to be and doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Consistently surrender any resistance to every moment, trusting that divine love is in control and will and with you always. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to contend with, nothing to earn, only surrender and trust in the goodness of life. What if everything is working out for the absolute best? Allow it to be revealed to you, and so it will be. The final surrender, transitioning into nonlinear spirituality. Okay. Oh, this is it, y'all. This is it. We're wrapping it up. Hi, Megan. The final surrender, the final countdown. So, transitioning into nonlinear spiritual reality requires letting go of belief systems that our mind has been reinforcing our entire lifetime. To let them go now seems absolutely foolish to the ego mind. It tries to convince us, I've kept us alive this whole time. Why would you abandon me now? I'm the reason for your progress. You're being irresponsible. If you stop listening to me, you will die without me. I am you. I've been doing all these things for us. I'm your best friend. I've been thinking all these plans and keeping us safe from enemies. I keep you alive. You can't trust or believe anything other than me. It's dangerous if you don't listen to me. You're being irrational. You need me. To go beyond the ego as the source of our life is to consciously accept the notion of death and face the external existential fear of a perceived end. The ego can only imagine death as a void of nothingness, whereas the true self experiences death as only a transition. From the perspective of a spiritual reality, what we call death is no different than waking up each morning. So Alan Watts says, try to imagine what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Now, try to imagine what it was like to wake up having never gone to sleep. Home stretch, baby. Heck yeah. Sorry. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Okay. Yet, because what happens after death cannot be reported, proven, and verified through objective experimentation, the ego refuses to step into absolute faith and believe in a spiritual, eternal reality. The irony of the ego is that it actually already lives by faith and doesn't realize it. Faith that it knows anything at all. Further still is the realization that the ego itself is an illusionary identity that we innocently mistook as who we really were, like the actor getting lost in their role. Now, having traversed and released attachment to the themes of consciousness through practicing the inner work, we return to our original state of Satchitanda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. No longer attached to the mind and body as me, but rather expressions of creation. From the perspective of the true freedom and lasting happiness, all has been unfolding of its own, and all we were responsible for was the intention and invitation to have the truth revealed. The final surrender requires us to sincerely admit, I don't know how I exist, which opens the door to self realization. What if time itself is an illusion? What if there's no actual start and end? What if existence is actually beyond time and space? What if eternity is right now? What if all perception of duality and a physical universe is a holographic projection within the unnameable, unexplainable essence of our existence, consciousness? What if there are no separations actually possible? What if love is something we can trust in and give our survival over to? What if divinity is real and the only reason we exist at all? And what if that divinity is the epitome of an infinite, unconditional, ineffable love and goodness? What if the mind has never actually been doing or thinking anything and all things have been given? What if there is an unnameable essence of goodness and infinite love that is pervading the entire universe and is the very core of our being, guiding all things? What if the best case scenario was true and life is a glorious expression of perfect love and goodness? What if we are all one with divinity as an extension and expression of the Most High? What if divinity is speaking to us now, inviting us to accept our spiritual reality? What if there were nothing to do, nothing to forgive, nothing to heal? What if we are all liberated now? Awakening humanity. Awakening humanity. And to make my mouth work to enunciate these words that are about 50 syllables each word. This has been a freaking book tongue twister. We're on the final paragraph, y'all. The final paragraph. Oh, we've got a scammer in the house. Hey, Codwell, come to my page, seek mentorship so you don't have to go scamming on other people's work. It's low vibe. It's really weird. It's so weird that people do that. Okay. Awakening humanity. Once we realize the eternal bliss of true freedom and lasting happiness, the only thing left to do is to invite and share it with others that are seen as expressions of the same self. Thus, to love and to heal others is to only love and heal ourselves, which is why this writing comes forth as a loving invitation, so that all may have the opportunity to remember bliss and joy of true freedom and lasting happiness. We invite you to extend the same invitation to everyone you know and love, so that all humanity may decide for themselves to put down their struggle with life and wake up to the glory of the divine existence. Ultimately, there is no need to rush. There is no need, rush, and nothing to be forced. Within an internal reality, all is exactly as it should be and always in perfect timing. The the invitations of love we extend to the world are simply out of joy of giving and serving. Wow. That is okay. So I guess most authors are going to use a lot of $10 words in their books, but Matt and Ash, to put them all back to back to back to back to back like that. Okay. Matt and Ash are the authors of this book. All right. Lakoa Samashta Tsukino Barutu says, may all things everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. Whew. So, living the inner work. As you do your inner work, your spectrum of consciousness will continue to change and evolve to reflect less energy being spent in the wounded themes and more energy being consistently expressed in the liberating themes. Continue to return to this book and guide anytime you fall away from the truth. We recommend evaluating your current spectrum of consciousness often. If you prefer a printable spectrum of consciousness, you can visit and you can download a theme. Okay, so here's, if y'all can see that, I'm gonna let y'all see this. It's gonna be right here. Okay. If y'all would like the printable versions of all these charts, if y'all aren't like me and, color in your books, if you just want printable versions to keep them out, and then have other charts that you can check on later that you can fill out as you grow and develop and evolve, right? So that would be checking yourself, teaching yourself, giving yourself little midterms in an essence, right? We did it. We finished. Go away, scammer, right? I know, right? They're so weird, dude. So weird. I just, whatever. That's a choice of life. You know what? You are so welcome. Thank you for being a part of all of it. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of book club for the inner workbook. The inner workbook is done and finished. I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you for suffering through a lot of that verbiage with me. That was a struggle. Luckily, I'm a pretty seasoned reader. Can you imagine? Okay, I wouldn't even have attempted that if I was not a really good reader. No freaking way. All right. So I thank y'all. We're going to go ahead and close it down. It's at an hour 16:17. Wow. 1:16:17. Cute. My AC. All right, kids. I will see y'all soon for live collectives. I will probably be coming back on here soon, and then I'm probably going to go back onto TikTok. So we'll hang out. We'll do some collectives for a little while. You're so welcome. And next, as mentioned before, the next book is going to be The Four Agreements. This book is available on YouTube. If any of you want to get a head start, if any of you want to go ahead and get the book purchased, the next time I start book club up, we're going to be looking at The Four Agreements, okay? Peace and love, prosperity, abundance, and all the positive vibes y'all can possibly stand, because there's plenty of